This says graph by making a table. Okay. The table that I'm going to make is what's called a t-table. And this is what a t-table looks like. First off, it's a t. That is nothing because I forgot to select marker pen. That's a t. Beep. And one of the things that I showed you before is if you're not certain about what you're going to get, always start out with 0. And then I'll do 1 and 2, and we'll see what happens there. If you're not sure of your math, Siri will do a lot of the work for you. So what this means is x is 0, so I have to do 4 times 0 minus 3. What is 4 times 0 minus 3?
It's -3.
Okay. Now I have to do 4 times 1 minus 3. I don't need a calculator. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now I have to do 4 times 2 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. All right. So these are the points that I get from making this t-table. One of my points is 0, -3. Another point that I have is 1, 1. And another point that I have is 2, 5. So let's graph those. 0, -3 means I start at 0 and I don't move and I go down 1, 2, 3. So let's put a dot there. Actually, this would be easier. 1, 1 means I start at 0, 0. I go right 1 and I go up 1. Put a dot there. And 2, 5 means I start at 0, 0, go right 2, go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a dot there. Now I have my 3 dots. I'm going to take my 3 dots and draw the best straight line that I can. Should look a little something like this. Not perfect, but I can see the dots, so I know I'm pretty accurate. Cool. Oh, dope. Pretty dope, huh? Pretty dope. We're going to talk about finding slope of a line using 2 different methods. Very, 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 very important. Muy importante. Slope determines the steepness of a line. So if I give you a line like this is a pencil, or it's a Sharpie. If I give you a line and I were to pretend that line is a hill, walking up a hill like that's not so bad. Now it's harder. Now it's harder. Now it's really hard. Now you're probably not going to be able to walk up that hill. The larger the number, the steeper the slope. The larger the number, the steeper the slope. Slope is given to us by rise over run. Okay, rise means if I have a dot here and a dot here, how high do I have to go up to get to that one dot, and how much do I have to run to get to the next dot? The larger the number, the more steps you have to move up in order to get over. So rise over run is literally a fraction. So if you're wondering why Mr. Parrish forced all of these improper fractions on you, that's why. Because rise over run is a fraction, numerator over denominator, nothing else. No mixed number, numerator over denominator, nothing else. That's slope. Okay? There's 2 types of slope. Well, 4 types of slope. But the ones that we're mainly going to look at are positive slope. And a positive slope is a slope that goes up and to the right. Up and to the right. Or it goes down and to the left. Up and to the right and down and to the left are the same thing. So if I were to take this guy and put arrows at the end of each, I have an arrow moving up and to the right, and I have an arrow moving down and to the left. Okay, so that's a positive slope. A negative slope is down and to the right, or up and to the left, down and to the right, or up and to the left. Positive slope looks like you're walking uphill. Negative slope means if you're reading, you're going downhill. Zero slope is horizontal, perfectly flat. Zero slope is horizontal, perfectly flat. And an undefined slope is straight up and down vertical. So that's something that you're gonna have to memorize. And we might get back to this slide in a minute, but let's watch this nifty video instead.
All right, my job is to find the slope of the line. The slope is rise over run, so I need to pick 2 points. As you can see, I don't have any points, so I have to make them up where they obviously are. So you look like you should be a point, and you look like you should be a point. Since this line is going up and to the right, it's a positive slope, so I'm going to make a note of that. If I go from this point to this point, I rise 1, 2, 3, 4. So my rise is 4. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are both even numbers, so I know positive 4 over 6 simplifies to positive 2 over 3.
So what I do is I pick 2 points. After I pick 2 points, I determine if it's positive or negative, and then I literally count 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, and I write that number over that number. Okay, so step 1, find 2 points. And let me just remind you over here, slope is rise over run. Wow. 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 Rise over run. I was so close. No. My first job is to pick 2 points. I already have 2 points right here and here. Step 1, done. Step 2 is figure out if it's positive or negative. If you're reading left to right and it goes uphill, it's positive. So I'm going to put a big P there for positive. Then what I do is I go up. So I have to get from this dot to that dot. So you're going to your friend's house and all of these are blocks and you're not allowed to cut through people's yards. So you have to go up 1 space, 2 space, 3 spaces. So I rise 3 and I run, go over 1, 2, 3, 4. I rise 3, I run 4, positive 3 over 4 is my answer. Let's do it again. Step 1, pick 2 points. Boom, boom, check. Step 2, determine if it's positive or negative. If I'm going left to right, am I going uphill or downhill? I'm going downhill, so this is negative. And I put a dot. It doesn't matter which dot you select. I don't care if you pick the dot on the bottom or the dot over there. Either way, you're going to go down 1. You're going to rise 1, 2, 3. So my slope is 3 on the top. My rise is 3. And my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since over here I said it was negative, I have to make my fraction negative. Negative 3 over 5. Pick 2 dots. Here and here. Positive or negative? Negative. Let's go from one dot to the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is rise 5. And I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a negative slope. So I make my fraction negative. That's it. That's it. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but my run is 0. 5 over 0. What's 5 divided by 0?
If something is divided by nothing, then there's nothing to divide it with, and the division never happened. So my answer is no.
Oh, that's right. You can't divide 0. Oh, that... I forgot. In this slide over here, we said that a vertical line has an undefined slope. A vertical line has an undefined slope. A vertical line has an undefined slope. So if a vertical line, wow, this is awful today. Undefined. If a vertical line has an undefined slope, that means this horizontal line has a slope of 0 because of the same slide. Does that happen here? No. So I have 2 points. I determine if it's positive or negative. I go from one point to the other, up 1. So I have positive 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 over 6. I went up 1, I went right 6, which means positive. What if I don't have a graph and I just give you the points without a graph? What do I do then? I use this guy right here called the slope formula. The slope formula is tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. So I highly suggest that if you have scrap paper sitting near you, you get that scrap paper and you get ready to do the slope formula a bunch of times. If you're just going to sit there and stare at the screen, you're not going to get it as well as you would than if you were to practice along with us or your friends. So slope formula is M, and M stands for slope because M means modulo. Who would have thought? M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. What I do is if I'm given 2 points, I label my points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, and plug them into that formula right there. So let's see it in action. Let's see it in action.
All right, if I'm required to find the slope of a line connecting 2 points and I don't have a graph, I have to use what's called the slope formula, which is this guy right here. Now, before I use the slope formula, I'm going to label my points x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2, and now I just plug them in. Y sub 2 is negative 2 minus y sub 1, which is 8, x sub 2, which is 7, minus x sub 1, which is negative 4. Negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10. 7 minus negative 4 is positive 11. And I end up with negative 10 over 11. Done.
Cool. So there's 3 steps here, like I said. Label the points, plug them into the formula, simplify the fraction, but keep the fraction improper. Label the points, plug it into the formula, simplify the fraction, keep it improper. Step 1, find the slope. Label the points. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. That's what labeling the points looks like. Now I'm going to write out the formula. I write out the formula every time, and so should you, and so should you. That's the formula. Now what I do is, since I labeled these guys x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, I take turns plugging them in. So I'm going to replace y sub 2 here with that y sub 2 right there. -1. There's a minus sign in the middle, so minus. And I like to put parentheses. So let's put parentheses -1 minus parentheses y sub 1, which is also -1. Very interesting. Over y sub x sub 2, which is -2, minus x sub 1, which is 4. Just like we did the other day in the get ready thing, we have a double negative, so that makes a positive. -1 plus 1 is 0. Interesting. -2 minus 4 is -6. 0 divided by -6 is 0. So what's the slope? 0. Label the points, plug it into the formula, simplify but keep it improper. Label the points, plug it into the formula, simplify but keep it improper. Label the points. So I'm going to write out the formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm now going to start replacing things. Okay. So I'm going to substitute y sub 2 with -6. Always put a minus sign in the middle. Y sub 1 is 0. X sub 2 is -7. Minus sign in the middle. X sub 1 is -7. If you have a double negative, make it a positive. On the top, -6 minus 0 is -6. And -7 plus 7 is 0. It's weird. 0 is on the bottom. What does that mean again? What's -6 divided by 0?
The answer is somewhere between infinity, -infinity, and undefined.
I forgot. Undefined. Up and down is undefined. And that's what we have here. So wait a minute. Why was it undefined? Because my x values were exactly the same. So when your x values are exactly the same, that's when it was undefined. Back here, my y values were exactly the same, and that's when it's 0. So if my x values are exactly the same, it's undefined. And if my y values are exactly the same, it's 0. Oh, look! My x values are exactly the same. It's undefined, which means if I were to graph those points, it would be up and down because up and down is undefined. Up and down is undefined. Song. Let's do more. All right. Step 1, label your points. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Step 2, plug it into the formula. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 is 5. So I'm going to say 5 minus y sub 1 is 1. So I have 5 minus 1 on top. X sub 2 is negative 1 minus x sub 1 is negative 3. If you see any double negatives, make it a positive. So there's a double negative there. On the top, I have 5 minus 1, which is 4. And in the denominator, I have negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. And 4 over 2, believe it or not, is 2. Oh, look. My y's are exactly the same. When my y's are exactly the same, I don't need to do anything, and it would be wise to just say 0. Because that's it. That's it. So, fun fact. If the x values were exactly the same, okay, so let me see what we did back here. Back here, we had the y values were exactly the same, and back here, we had the x values were exactly the same. When the x values were exactly the same, the slope is undefined. Like negative 3, 2. And negative 3, 8. If I were to graph that and draw a line, I would have an up and down because up and down is undefined. Up and down is undefined, up and down is undefined, up and down is undefined, up and down is undefined. Now, if the y values are the same, then the slope is 0. So y values being the same would be 5, 12. And negative 5, 12. You want to say that the 5s are the same, but one's negative and one's positive. What are the same are the 12s. Parallel lines. What are parallel lines? Well, those are lines that never intersect. They never run into each other. I forgot how to spell intersect for a second there. Ugh. Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. They never cross over each other, okay? Except for infinity. But they never intersect. 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 Now, what that means is if they never intersect, that means they have the same slope. So how can I find out which lines here are parallel? Why don't I just find the slope of all of them quick? These are all positive slopes. So if I go to the blue one, I start at that dot and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go over 1, 2, 3. So blue is 5 over 3. If I wanted to find the red slope, I go to a dot and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, go over 1, 2, 3, and the red slope is up 4 over 3, and the green slope is I'd start at that dot and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4 over 1, 2, 3, up 4 over 3. So which slopes are parallel? The blue one, not the blue one, just kidding. The red one and the green one because they have the same slope. This lag is really bad, and I just made it worse. Okay, the red and the green because they have the same slope. The red and the green because they have the same slope. Yeah, the red and the green because they have the same slope. Which lines are parallel? How do you know? I know that all of these lines are negative slopes because if I were walking left to right, I'd be going downhill in a steep manner. So let's find out the slopes of each of these. I go up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So it's negative 3 over 1 is 3 divided by 1 is just 3. I'm going to look at the red one. I'm going to start here and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go over 1. So that's also negative 3. And I'm going to start here at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 4, left 1 is negative 4. Well, that's not what I want. Which lines are parallel? Blue and red are. How do I know? Because they're the same slope. Your friend finds the slope of the line shown below. Is your friend correct? Explain your reasoning. Well, let's find the slope. See how it goes down and to the right? That immediately tells me it's negative. What did they say? Positive. So what are they? Wrong! So, your friend needs to stop making mistakes. Your friend needs to stop making mistakes. I'm going to end the video.